Now let's turn our attention to this firm. The music and podcast giant Spotify is raising its prices for its 200 million subscribers.
Starting today, millions of people will experience a brand new Spotify. The audio streaming company will announce the largest update to its platform.
You ever wondered how Spotify became the giant it is today? What if I told you there might be some shady secrets behind its meteoric rise? And what if I also told you that it might involve some of your favorite artists and record labels? Today, we're diving into a topic that has stirred up quite the controversy in recent years: the illegal rise of Spotify. Grab your popcorn because this is a story you won't want to miss. Imagine yourself in 2008, eagerly signing up for this new music service. You're granted access to millions of songs from your favorite artists, all for free. But here's the question: how could Spotify afford to offer such an incredible deal to its users? You see, Spotify was like a musical utopia, but its business model seemed too good to be true. How did it manage to pay artists and record labels while giving away music for free? What was the catch? As we dig deeper into this intriguing story, we'll uncover the secrets behind Spotify's rise in the complex web of the music industry that it navigated. The shadowy backstory. In those early days, Spotify was in a race against time to secure a vast music catalog. To do that, they struck deals with major record labels. These deals gave Spotify access to an immense library of songs. But here's where the intrigue begins. Spotify signs contracts with these record labels, agreeing to pay them a percentage of their revenue. However, those early contracts had a clause that guaranteed minimum payments to labels, regardless of whether Spotify made a profit or not. It was as if Spotify had entered into a high-stakes poker game. They promised the labels a steady stream of cash even if they had to gamble on their own future. These early deals set the stage for a high-stakes game, with Spotify making promises it couldn't be sure it could keep. But how did this risky gamble play out? Spotify is gaining millions of users every month, and they can listen to music for free. It's a music lover's paradise. But here's the big question: how could Spotify afford to offer unlimited free access to music, especially when their advertising revenue was struggling to cover the minimum payments to record labels? This is where the plot thickens. Spotify was locked into these minimum payment contracts, which meant that even if they weren't profitable, they still had to pay out substantial sums to the labels. It's like a high-stakes game of financial juggling, and Spotify needed to find a way to make it work. The curious case of payola. And here's a term you might not have heard in a while. Payola. In the past, it was a scandalous practice where radio stations accepted money to play certain songs. But is something similar happening on Spotify? Are record labels paying to have their artists' tracks promoted? The music industry has evolved, and so have the tactics. While traditional radio payola has been largely regulated, the digital era presents new opportunities for promotional manipulation. Some have raised concerns that a form of digital payola could be happening on Spotify, where record labels might be making under-the-table deals to boost the visibility of their artists. One of the areas where this comes into question is playlist curation. Spotify's algorithm-generated playlists and user-created playlists are a major discovery tool for listeners. But are these playlists entirely based on merit? Or could there be financial incentives at play that influence which songs make the cut? Spotify has, in the past, denied allegations of payola and maintained that their playlists are determined by algorithmic recommendations and user data. They've also made efforts to increase transparency in their playlisting process. However, the debate continues and some critics remain skeptical. The ethical dilemma here is significant. If artists with deeper pockets can pay for more visibility, it could disadvantage independent musicians who can't afford such promotion. It might also compromise the integrity of the platform's recommendations, leading to a less diverse and more commercialized music landscape. The fine line. There's a fine line between innovation and exploitation. Spotify has been accused of exploiting a legal loophole, the safe harbor provision, allowing them to avoid hefty licensing fees. But is this strategy legal, or is it a gray area they're exploiting to maintain their dominance? To understand this, let's break down what the safe harbor provision is. In essence, it offers online platforms protection from copyright infringement claims, as long as they comply with certain requirements. such as promptly removing infringing content when notified. Spotify has argued that they're merely abiding by the law. They contend that they've built their platform in accordance with the safe harbor provision, asserting that they're not responsible for the content uploaded by users. This, they say, allows them to focus on providing a user-friendly experience and a vast music library. However, critics argue that this interpretation of the law is a bit too convenient. They claim that Spotify, along with other streaming platforms, benefits from the safe harbor provision in ways that were perhaps unintended by lawmakers. This leaves a lot of gray areas in the legal landscape. The debate over the safe harbor provision is ongoing, and it's not just confined to Spotify. It's a broader conversation about how the digital age is challenging traditional copyright laws. Many argue that the laws need to be updated to reflect the realities of the internet age. So, where does this leave us? As consumers of music, we have a stake in this too. We need to consider the ethical implications of the platforms we support. Are we comfortable with the legal gray areas Spotify navigates, or do we believe there's a need for more robust regulation? The battle of artists. And what about the battle between Spotify and artists? Musicians like Taylor Swift and Thom Yorke have publicly criticized the platform for their payout structure. Is Spotify really the artist-friendly platform they claim to be, or are they exploiting creators to fuel their success? To understand this, let's step into the shoes of an artist. Imagine spending months or even years pouring your heart and soul into creating music only to receive a fraction of a penny per stream. It's a reality many artists face on Spotify, and it has led to heated debates. Spotify, on the other hand, argues that they've paid billions to artists and labels, supporting the music industry at large. They point out that the majority of their revenue goes back to the music community. Their defense is that streaming is a long-term gain, and artists benefit from exposure and the potential for sustained income. The challenge here is that while Spotify's top artists do make substantial income through streams, the vast majority of musicians struggle to earn a living from streaming alone. For many independent artists, the payouts from Spotify may not even cover their basic costs. Beyond the financial aspect, there's also a concern about artistic freedom. Some argue that the need to chase streams and playlist placements can stifle creativity, pushing artists to produce music that fits the algorithm rather than their artistic vision. The evolution, Spotify's expansion into podcasts and advancements in AI, music recommendations represent a significant shift in their business strategy. It's a response to the changing ways we consume content and a move towards creating a more comprehensive audio experience for users. But does this shift also serve to divert attention from the controversies they've faced? The podcast industry is booming, and Spotify's aggressive push into this space is both a smart business move and a way to differentiate themselves from their competitors. However, some critics argue that this expansion could be a calculated move to reposition themselves in the public eye. On the other hand, Spotify's investment in AI music recommendations aims to provide users with a more personalized and engaging experience. By leveraging cutting-edge technology, they're striving to keep users hooked and satisfied with their service. But is this innovation enough to overshadow their past controversies? Ultimately, Spotify's evolution is a complex interplay of adapting to industry trends, staying ahead of the curve, and addressing the concerns raised by artists and rights holders. It's a fine balance between growth and maintaining a positive reputation. As we conclude our exploration of Spotify's evolution, it's clear that their diversification strategy has been both a response to market trends and a way to redefine their image in the eyes of the public. So, there you have it, folks, the intriguing tale of the illegal rise of Spotify. But here's the ultimate question. Is it time for a reckoning in the music streaming industry? What are your thoughts? Let's discuss in the comments below. If you like this video, click the next one shown on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. Thanks for watching.